Hi, I'm Miss Nickerson.
And I'm Mr. Radford.
Welcome to the Viking Science Academy. Today we're talking about proteins.
Proteins and nucleic acids, I do believe.
Yes, and nucleic acids. So what's a protein?
Hey, protein is you and me. I mean, everything that we see when we see someone is basically a conglomeration of proteins.
Okay. So how are proteins constructed?
Well, I have pictures of a train on there for a reason. They're long chains of things called amino acids.
Okay, amino acids. And I think there's 20 amino acids that are in your body, and we can combine them in lots of different ways to make a lot of different proteins. I tell my classes it's like having 20 different flavors of ice cream, and you get to make an ice cream cone that's 1,000 scoops tall. There's almost infinite possibilities of combinations. And I'm going to go, and there was 9 of them that were essential.
9 essential ones, yep.
Okay.
So these chains of amino acids can be just a few, or they twist. And so when we learn about how things bond together, it's very linear, but that's not how it works. These things can twist and turn in different combinations, thousands of different ways.
Okay. So the job of a protein is to regulate your chemical activity, and this is called an enzyme. Enzymes are really important because they help us decrease the amount of energy that we have to do to do cellular functions. They decrease the amount of heat that's produced and
speed up the processes. Yeah.
They're also responsible for transporting and storing materials in our body, so moving them from one place to another or storing stuff for later use. And they provide structure and support, what we see, like you said. They're building blocks of our cells.
And so this is kind of a graph that shows what enzymes do. And so you can see with an enzyme, there's not as much energy required as you look on the y-axis of the graph, and the progress of the reaction goes much quicker. But without an enzyme, what happens?
Oh, it's going to waste a ton of energy. It's going to be a lot slower, and we're going to have a lot more energy that you could be using for something else that we had to use to do that cellular process. So enzymes are kind of like a lock and a key.
Yep.
A certain enzyme is responsible for a certain reaction, and so your body has to produce a lot of different enzymes to do all the different things that it needs to do, and cells do as well.
Yep. And so there's the lock and key right there. Okay. So during the reaction, the enzyme is unchanged, which is a good thing, and we can reuse it many, many times. Advance. There we go.
However, if we change the environment that the enzyme is in, sometimes it doesn't work. So you can change the temperature, you can change the molecules around the enzyme, and you can affect how that enzyme functions or its ability to do its job. And so different changes in cells or your bodies can also affect an enzyme's productivity.
Yep. Temperature, pH. And so you guys should know what pHs are. Okay, nucleic acids. What are those?
That is what makes us us. So proteins are us, nucleic acids make us us.
Yep.
And they store our genetic information or our code that tells our bodies and cells what type of proteins to build. They're the blueprints of life. And every living organism has DNA or nucleic acids. DNA is one type of nucleic acid. But so it's not just humans, it's all the way down to simple one-celled organisms, plants, fungus, you name it.
This gives all living organisms the same ingredients, which is kind of a cool thing.
So again, we're kind of all built with the same amino acids, and we go back and we say that we're all coming from those nitrogen compounds, sugars, and an acid put together, things we've learned about so far.
Okay, so every living cell has these nucleic acids in them, and they are in common. They're found in, the nucleus. And we'll get into cells soon, but they're in the nucleus of the cell.
So there's 2 types of nucleic acid, DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, and RNA, ribonucleic acid. And they're named for the type of sugars that build their structure. Deoxyribose and ribose are the sugars that build them. So we'll talk about DNA first. It's made up of nucleotides. So DNA is a long ladder that's twisted up, and it's built of steps in that ladder, and each of those steps you could call a nucleotide. And so these are small units or subunits that are repeated over and over and over that make up the pattern of DNA. And there are 4 main bases: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine, that make up these nucleotides. We'll go over these more when we do DNA.
Yep. And so the structure of DNA is a double helix, and so I kind of explain it as a spiral staircase that has rails on both sides going up.
Twists.
Yep, twists up.
And the order of these nucleotides as you go along a strand of DNA is what determines what type of protein is made. So I tell my kids, well, this order makes a blue eyeball protein, and this order makes a green eyeball protein. Every cell in your body, the order of the nucleotides determined the amino acids which built the protein that made that structure. Okay. So the order is really important.
Yep. And so this is kind of a description of it. The double helix is on the left side, and then this is just showing the basic structure. So those nucleotides would be the green nitrogen-based compounds, okay, and then we have the sugar and the phosphates on the outside that make up the kind of this railing system.
And you can see that repeating pattern of nucleotides there. Yeah. Yep. Okay, what about RNA?
RNA, the ribonucleic acid. So these are subunits that make up RNA, and so they have very similar adenine, guanine, cytosine, but uracil is different. So that's the one.
No thymine anymore.
That's right.
U instead of T.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So also, it's only a single strand. So
Yep.
it's kind of like one side of the staircase or one side of the letter. It's still made up of repeating nucleotides, just not mirrored on each side.
Yep.
And then RNA is found outside the nucleus. It's found in the rest of the cell as well. And we're going to build those proteins as well. And so that's a step. So as DNA makes RNA, and RNA combines the amino acids into proteins. Yep. Again, we'll go over this more because it's a little confusing.
Yep. And so this is kind of a description of each slides. We have DNA on the left with the different nucleotide base pairs that are there. And so you can see all of those different bonds that are there. Lot of things bonded together to make the DNA. But it's kind of crazy to think that every single cell in your body has that. Every single cell in every single organism has those too. So
same type of bonds. Pretty orderly.
Yes, it is.
You should be able to characterize and contrast DNA to RNA and tell us some things that are similar and tell us some things that are different between them. Yep. Okay, so thanks for joining us today on the Viking Science Academy, and please make sure you have notes for this unit when you come to class. We'll be talking about this more.
Okay.